Hi, everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad to be here with you as we prepare to channel the Hathors. I think I've only channeled them once before, not too long ago, but it is a very interesting energy, and I also feel it provides a good balance and a sort of maternal or sustaining energy, which can always be nice when you feel that things are a little bit upset and that chaos reigns. So what we are going to speak about is the rule of Horus, or the rule of the divine child, the child at play, and that is what we've kind of been promised, and which Crowley also heralded about 100 years ago. And if you don't know the Library of Veges and the whole story about him channeling that in Cairo, it's worth looking up. And of course, it contains such famous lines as every man, woman, child is a star, and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love and the will. So those are some of the dictums and the lawfulness of what is seemingly a very lawful eon, a very lawful cycle. And I'm passing on to you that this will last 1,012 years, and these energies will be in charge. So that is what you can take and infer from recent events. It's partially that the mad children are in charge and at play. And if you begin to look at the 20th century after the First World War, you'll see that this is an energy that's very much growing, right? And symbolically, we have the generation of the baby boomers, which is, of course, like somehow children who get to overfeed themselves have a new world of abundance, and kind of develop the indigestions and also the satedness and the type of cynicism which comes with having to leave that early stage of oral circuitry, just having to getting all your needs met and looking for love in all the wrong places, like equating romance with love, and like some of these more low um, fleshy aplatonic vibrations and manifestations of love, which have very much been a theme also in the 20th century and ongoing. So you'll notice that's something, but also, of course, uh, politically, I'll point a bit back in time. But consider, I think I read a satire piece once by an author that portrayed Nazi Germany as, every day in Nazi Germany was an ongoing birthday celebration for a certain A. Hitler. And it was just, everybody was just, congratulations, congratulations, you're Hitler, isn't it wonderful? And oh, I will put on these displays, and we'll do this, and we'll hurt these people and make these people go away, and order this in that way, and build this, and we'll all do it in his name, and because he's a great leader. And are you happy now? No, okay, no, you want bigger invasions, so you want to exterminate even bigger groups of people, like, oh, okay. But oh, is he happy now, the big old spoiled child, right? So somehow that was something that got to play out in all its relentless ruthlessness, which is something that you can also consider connected to children, along with their kind of strangely innocent and disconnected fantasy world, which I think Nazism also kind of exposed, even in its let's say, like, the brightest manifestation, something like the architecture of Albert Speer, something which is somehow interesting to look at least. There's like this kind of like grandiose delusion about it, which is also very childlike. And I think that should be evident, that it's, if you look at world events, and of course, like the stage of what goes on like in American popular culture, and in that sphere is something that the world also pays a lot of attention to, and it's interesting to see how like these energies of sort of the something like the ruthless boy child gets to actually maneuver itself into position, and I think that is kind of like what you can probably take from the existence, biography, career of somebody like Trump and Musk, is that you can actually get away with doing basically what you want to do in your own life if you just put put your mind to it, right? You can essentially dream up a reality and make other people live in it, and that is one of the very deep and mystical secrets of this eon. But of course also know that a part of what has been heralded um, is also the destruction, because this is the part of the Trinity, which the child, which is the incarnation of the embodiment. So it's the third link which comes after, of course, the creator, and then the second link, the feminine link, the sustainer, right? And now we are in one of the dark manifestations. And if you kind of hold up these ideas of the Greek time cycles, they actually come from Babylon, but these ideas, which were developed in the Middle East and in Egyptian astrology and then passed on to the Greeks, this often corresponds to the astrological cycles, whereas the Indian yugas are much wider ages. And if you'd usually translate eon and yuga both to world age or time cycle, but consider that there are like many of these rotations within the rotation of one yuga, and we are within the Kali Yuga, which is the dark manifestation of the destroyer. So it's not even the destroyer, it is the dark mother, and you can get a lot of good out in these days by offering up what is no longer wanted and needed. So there is a great rebirth taking place. And I must admit, also having gone through a lot of struggles and stuff in the recent years, like a lot of people, but also feeling like I've struggled with my sanity in life. It's nice to be confirmed that how, no matter how crazy it gets locally, I still feel like a beacon of sanity in a fairly deranged world. And so it probably turns out that perhaps our friend Phil, who also suffered for his sanity, Philip K. Dick, that he was right, that the world soul is essentially deranged, and that it is just us kids here, and we sort of get to partake in this um, cosmic struggle, this struggle with angels of where we are also headed with our species and what we can create in our own lives. So I hope that was worthwhile. I hope you're doing well and feeling positive out there. And I'll turn it over to the Hathors, and I send you my love, guys. Sealed is this space, and sacred and protected are the ones who attune to it and feel our vibration in this moment. We extend this to you as an enchantment, as a spell we have cast, sweet ones, on your reality. We impose in that way our agenda of love, of sustaining your well-being, your health, your light within you and around you. But we do so imposing our will on you. So we have to rely on the invitation which your soul has emitted and then attracted by attuning to this message. That is, if you're listening to this, you have already invited it in. And we would like to think we, the Hathors, sending you our deepest love, our blessings, and our protection and guidance. We hope you feel it. Our love to you, beloved human being, listening to this. You have attracted this into your life. You have created and you have invited it. But it is still our will, it is still our reality construct, which we impose upon you. And your invitation was open, but it is met with our arrival, which is a closing, a defining ending, and in that sense a destruction of your invitation, your intent. So every time something happens in your life, it's also a type of loss. It's an imposition from the outside, which you have to deal with. And this means that your invitations, for so many of you at this point in time, can become hazy, diffuse, because your intentions often become to get off the wheel, to be free of any more impositions, any more will moving in on your reality from the outside. And that is why we are here to let you know that your ability to invite is much greater than what is attracted and meets you and seals you from the outside. So the invitation, the beacon, the will, the wish, the imagination, the force of life and creation itself within you is the thing which moves these wheels of time and history. And with that, you may realize that your wish to have things ease up, to cease their drift towards unwanted states of being, things you do not recognize, understand, or feel you wish for. Well, that these are also creations which move energy in ways that have been invited. And so your wish is active. It is coming to pass. And your wish is not a negative one. It is not for things to stop. It is for peace and tranquility, for things to stabilize, and for the world to become whole. It is important that you learn to distinguish between these impulses, because this is the lesson of the child. That there is a path of selfishness, which gives short-term reward in return for long-term disaster. And there is a path of selflessness, which gives abnegation and sacrifice at the cost of later hope and reward. And none of these paths have worked out for you. And so what you are attempting to become is someone who can navigate unknown waters. And this is incredibly difficult for human beings to attain, because as soon as you face the truly unknown, your impulse is to take a step back. And this is the reason the world soul has put the child in charge. It is because you must learn to master chance. And the only impulse which can do this is the one which happily destroys, throws away, improvises, and recreates. And so you will move from these haphazard and frenzied hop skips from one delectable distraction to the next, whether they are mental, physical, or even in the abstract spiritual. You will learn to move away from these quick resonances and into this deeper pattern of correspondence, because this is the deep genius of the child, which is abandoned by adults. It is the sense of deep correspondence with reality itself. And so notice that children can learn from reality. They can adapt osmotically to things. They can have their environment, the teachings, knowledge, language seep into them and become one with them in a type of intuitive mastery, where they don't forget themselves but adapt themselves and learn to play with language in the way that suits them. And this is something that adults can imitate and attempt to do, but can never ever master. And so they must find methods, they must find specific teachers, they must immerse themselves and yet apply themselves. Whereas children immersed in reality fully are always in harmony with it, because they are in correspondence with it. And correspondence is the principle of the three. Because these were the dimensional imprints you were given. See, in the first density, there is simply a point. And in the second, in these third dimensions, there are 2 points elevating themselves and adapting themselves. And so they become a cross and they intersect and they become movement. They flow in time as a fish in water. And then they begin to split and flow in 2 directions. So it is both the being which carries the water, but also the being immersed in it. And that's the Aquarian energy. And this is the energy that you are learning to master. And you must understand that these ideas of right and wrong are inherited implementations from earlier eras, and they have value. That is, they are value themselves. They are sets and standards of values. And you will find that these become very flexible and bendy as you play around with them. In the same way that the next stage for the child, for the baby as it grows up, is the stage of adolescence. And in this stage you will find that there is a bendiness, a flexibility to the mores, the norms, and the standards of society. And this is what this Aquarian Aeon will bring you before the light returns. And you shall once again have the one, this time in the shape of the four, as the quadrant of power returns and light comes back to you. But for now, and for the duration of this lifetime, all of you are not only asked to play, you are commanded to play. And what you will do to play around with that command and change it to something which corresponds with you, rather than delineate and command and judge you. That is your challenge. It is your challenge to break the rules of authority and become your own assessor of life and play and game. And at that stage of maturity, you will find that either things are manifesting from unknown structures and explorations moving to you from the future, but they are manifesting from back there in the 4D, and you will find that the further you go and the more you move into that, the more you'll be carried backwards into that space of recapitulation of these dense energies of authority, of command, of power, and of difference. And that is, if you are thinking about the eternal judgment, or how this will come about, then notice that what is not of these other energies is recursive, and it is flowing backwards into time to be reintegrated, reworked, reshopped, and reseen here before it can move again into the breaking points of the future. These great waves crashing onto the shorelines of your reality and reshaping it. These are waves of time, of energy, of divinity, and of love, of creation itself and its innermost vibration, expressing itself in life, in you, and in everything around you. And with that, we the Hathors, we wish you delightful play, enjoyable exploration. In love, blessed you are. Farewell. I hope that served you. Much love to you guys.